So let us go to the preamble first. So this ordinance was passed on 4th of April to amend the Principal Act, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. As we know, there were two variants earlier. One was the CIRP, Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process, and then there was process for individuals and partnership firms. So this is third in the series, applicable for MSMEs, but MSMEs in corporate sector only. So IBBI notified this pre-package. So pre-package means something you already have something and you just want stamp of approval. So this IBBI notified the pre-packaged insolvency resolution process regulations, and they are applicable from 9th of April 2021. So it's quite a current subject, hardly a week. Purpose: COVID-19 pandemic, it has impacted businesses, financial markets and economies all over the world, including India, and has impacted the business operations of MSMEs and exposed many of them to financial distress. But MSMEs in common parlance, we understand MSME as something like proprietorship or partnership, but those MSMEs are not included here. So only MSMEs of corporate sector are included, which are either companies or LLPs. Now another question could arise, whether we could convert our MSMEs into this corporate. Definitely no one stops us. So in order to come within its ambit, you can definitely plan some such thing. The government has taken several measures to mitigate the distress, including increase in the minimum amount of default for initiations of CIRP to 1 crore rupees. Earlier, as we know, for corporates it was 1 lakh, then it was enhanced to 1 crore. Then suspending filing of CIRP for 1 year, beginning from 25th March 2020 to 24th March 2021. MSME sectors, as we all know, it contributes significantly to the GDP, employment, and it is necessary to consider and address the specific requirements of MSMEs relating to the resolution of their insolvency due to the unique nature of their businesses and simpler corporate structures. It is necessary to provide quicker IRP to MSME, ensuring quicker and cost-effective and value-maximizing outcomes for all the stakeholders in a manner which is least disruptive to the continuity of their businesses and which preserves jobs. So this is the basic purpose which is stated in the preamble. And in view of this, a principal code is amended to add process called pre-packaged insolvency process for CD classified as MSME. There are some new definitions, there are amendments, there are additions to existing definitions. So in section 4, which talks of trigger of default and which was applicable to CIRP, now a proviso has been added to section 4. As we know, at present CIRP is applicable when default amount is minimum 1 crore, earlier it was 1 lakh. So now a proviso has been added that central government will prescribe applicable limit amount separately for MSME and which shall not be more than 1 crore. So it says for MSMEs it will not be more than 1 crore, and on 9th April central government has prescribed this amount, minimum is 10 lakhs. So minimum is 10 lakhs, maximum is 1 crore presently. As it is a pre-packaged insolvency resolution process, so there are certain unique features of this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. So first of all, a base resolution plan is to be prepared. So there are various types of resolution plans here. in CIRP, if some of you have gone through the IBC, so there was only one resolution plan. But now here there is one base resolution plan, then amended resolution plan, then approved resolution plan, revised resolution plan. So we see various variants of resolution plan. Starts with base resolution plan. Since it is pre-packaged. So pre-packaged means something you have to offer something on your own, then it will improvise. So base resolution plan means a resolution plan provided by the corporate debtor under clause C of subsection 4 of section 54A. Most of the sections in this pre-packaged plan you will see are by way of addition. So you will generally find A. So A denotes an addition to the existing section. The main section, original section is 54, then this is 54A. So 54A says the base resolution plan means a resolution plan provided by the corporate debtor. It means this plan will be provided by the corporate debtor itself. If you remember the case of individuals and partnership firms, there also the individual or the partnership firm is required to provide a resolution plan because they know from where the finance will come. So here also this basic resolution plan, base resolution plan will be provided by the corporate debtor under clause C of subsection 4 of section 54. So definitions where the word CIRP is appearing, the word PPIRP, pre-packaged insolvency resolution plan, is added in all relevant sections and amended accordingly. And all forms under this regulation, they start with P. So numbering is with P. As I already told you, this is applicable only to MSMEs. And MSMEs also only companies or LLPs. It is not applicable to an MSME if it is a partnership firm or an individual or a proprietorship. So corporate debtor here is MSME because it is defined in section 7 of MSME Act 2006. As we know, the definition of MSME underwent changes quite frequently in 2019 and 20. So this is the definition which is effective from 26th of June 2020, where there is only one class of companies, both manufacturing as well as service provider. Earlier there were different types of criteria for manufacturing separate and for service provider separate. So now there is only one criteria, whether your MSME is into manufacturing or it is into service. Three types of classes are there: micro, small and medium. So micro, investment less than 1 crore, turnover less than 5. Small, investment less than 10 crore, turnover less than 50. Medium, investment less than 50 crores, turnover less than 250. And effective date, as we know, is from 26th of June 2020. In case there is an upward change, suppose your organization undergoes a change. You were earlier covered in micro, now you are into small, or you were earlier small, now you are medium or something, or vice versa. In case, so either change will be upward or downward, or it will be static. In case static, no question, no problem. But in case there is an upward change, the enterprise will maintain its prevailing status till the expiry of 1 year from the close of the financial year of registration. So if you got yourself registered in a particular financial year, say 21-22, so this, and you are covered in micro, then your status will prevail till expiry of 1 year from the close of the financial year. And in case it is reverse graduation, earlier you were into small, now your turnover has come down, so enterprise will continue its present category till the close of the financial year. So as soon as this financial year is over, you will be downgraded. And benefits of the changed status only with effect from 1st April of the financial year following the year in which such change took place. there are definitely some benefits attached to MSME sector besides this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process or plan. So those benefits will be available following the year in which such change takes place. As we know, there is a composite criteria of investment and turnover. And if an enterprise crosses the ceiling limits specified for its present category in either of the two criteria of investment or turnover, because the criteria here is this and that, this and this. So both have to be fulfilled. So in case the enterprise crosses the limits in either of the two criteria of investment or turnover, it will cease to exist in that category and be placed in the next higher category. But no enterprise shall be placed in the lower category unless it goes below the ceiling limits specified for its present category in both the criteria of investment as well as turnover. So downward only if both the criteria, if it is below both the criteria of investment as well as turnover. In case of upward revision, it will cease to exist in that category and will be placed in next higher category if it crosses either of the things. And all units with GST number listed against the same PAN number, they shall be collectively treated as one enterprise, and the turnover and investment figures for all such entities shall be seen together, and all the aggregate values will be considered for deciding the category as micro, small or medium. Because if as a consultant we are to advise our client on whether our case is covered under MSME, we have to look at all these things. Now this calculation of investment, how this investment in plant and machinery or equipment will be calculated. So this calculation of investment in plant and machinery or equipment, it will be linked to the income tax return of the previous year filed under the income tax. In case it's a new enterprise, no prior ITR is available. So investment will be based on self-declaration of the promoter of the enterprise. And such relaxation shall end after the 31st March of the financial year in which it files its first ITR. The expression plant and machinery or equipment of the enterprise shall have the same meaning as assigned to the plant and machinery in the income tax rules 1962 and shall include all tangible assets other than land and building, furniture and fittings. And the purchase oblique invoice value of a plant and machinery or equipment, whether purchased first hand or second hand, shall be taken into account excluding GST on self-disclosure basis if the enterprise is a new one without any ITR. In case ITR is available, then figures from ITR will be taken. The depreciated value of a plant and machinery or equipment will be considered for the existing running units having ITR and balance sheet. So if you are already having an existing or running unit and you are filing your ITR and balance sheet, then WDV will be taken. And the cost of certain items specified in the explanation 1 to subsection 1 of section 7 of the Act shall be excluded from the calculation of the amount of investment in plant and machinery. And explanation 1 to subsection 1 of section 7, what does it say? So explanation 1 says, for the removal of doubts, it is hereby clarified that in calculating the investment in plant and machinery, cost of pollution control, research and development, industrial safety devices, and such other items as may be specified by notification shall be excluded. So these types of particular investment in plant and machinery you have to exclude. Another thing is turnover, calculation of turnover. So export of goods or services or both, it shall be excluded while calculating the turnover of any enterprise, whether micro, small or medium, for the purpose of classification. And information as regards turnover and exports turnover for an enterprise shall be linked to the Income Tax Act or CGST Act, and the GSTN turnover related figures of such enterprise which do not have PAN will be considered on self-declaration basis for a period up to 31st March, and thereafter PAN and GSTN will be mandatory. Okay. So this was regarding MSME sector. So first of all, you have to see if a client approaches you, whether I am covered in the scheme. So first you will assess what is the turnover and what is the investment. You will calculate based on the ITR or self-declaration or whatever documents are available. Second thing is the default amount. So default amount is minimum 10 lakhs. So trigger point is 10 lakhs. Besides that, it should not be undergoing CIRP for 3 years or not completed from last CIRP, PPIRP as on the initiation date. And no liquidation order has been passed. So these are some of the other conditions which we have to satisfy before taking our case forward. So this is the eligibility criteria. Now once you have ascertained the eligibility, that okay, you are eligible. Now application. So CD, as we know, the base resolution plan is to be prepared by the corporate debtor, which is the company itself. So CD is eligible to submit a resolution plan under section 29A. As we know, section 29A contains certain disqualifications. Section 29 says as to who is not eligible to be a resolution applicant. If he is an undischarged insolvent, if he is a willful defaulter, list of willful defaulters is displayed on RBI website, or control is with such a person whose account is NPA, your account has been NPA for minimum 1 year, or in case you are into restructuring business for the past 3 years. If you have been convicted for any offense punishable with imprisonment for a specified period, or certain period has not yet elapsed when your imprisonment was concluded, or if you are otherwise disqualified to be a director, you are prohibited by SEBI due to insider trading or some other things, or you have initiated or you have been instrumental in some inordinate transactions, preferential, undervalued, extortionate, etc. So these are some of the disqualifications for a prospective resolution applicant. So CD is eligible to submit a resolution. So this is the third condition. So first condition, you see the criteria, whether it is an MSME at all. Second, default. Third, you are eligible. You are not any of these disqualifications. The name of the resolution professional, IRP or RP, is proposed and approved. So this is section 54A, subsection 2, subsection E. So this name approval is with financial creditors. So financial creditors not less than 10% in value of total debt, they may propose name of RP. So name of the RP will be proposed by financial creditors, and financial creditors representing 66% of total debt shall approve such proposal with terms of appointment of RP in Form P3. So 10% may propose. It means there may be more than one resolution professionals, which those names may be proposed. And the final selection will be based on the financial creditors who represent 66% of total. They shall approve such proposal with terms of appointment of RP in Form P3. Now, regulation. So serve notice of meeting to all financial creditors. So how this process will be regulated? So you have to serve notice of meeting to all the financial creditors except related parties. So related parties are obviated from voting at least 5 days before meeting, unless a shorter meeting is agreed by all of them. So form P2 is there. For everything there is a form starting with P. So P1 is for base resolution plan. P2 is for notice of meeting. P3 is for proposal of name of RP. The financial creditors who are not related parties of the corporate debtor and have not less than 10% of the value of the total financial debt of such creditors may propose names of insolvency professionals for the purpose of clause E of subsection 2 of section 54. And where there are no financial creditors or the financial creditors are all related parties, then COC shall be of OCs only, 10 OCs. Like in CIRP, there are 18 largest operational creditors. Here there are 10 operational creditors and one representative of workmen and employees. And above provision will be applicable to OC meeting also, mutatis mutandis. Besides that, the directors or the partners in case of LLP, they have to file a declaration in form number P6. So the majority of the directors or partners of CD, they have made declaration in form P6. So what is the declaration? That the CD shall file an application for initiating pre-packaged insolvency resolution process within a definite time period not exceeding 90 days. So you have to file an application for initiating PPIRP within a definite time period not exceeding 90 days. Total period is 120 days. So 30 days is for the adjudicating authority to dwell upon the subject. Second is that the PPIRP is not being initiated to defraud any person. It is a regular clause even in case of section 10 application or in case of voluntary liquidation. So such a clause is provided that this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process is not being initiated to defraud any person. And the name of the IP proposed and approved to be appointed as a resolution professional under clause E of subsection 2 of section 54. So these three things you have to file along with the declaration. And members of CD have passed the special resolution approving the filing of an application for initiating pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. And CD will submit the following information to financial creditor. What is the information? Copy of special resolution passed by members of CD. Then declaration of directors, partners in form P6 and base resolution plan which conforms to the requirements referred to in section 54K and such other conditions as may be specified and such other information and documents as may be specified. So this corporate debtor, it will submit the following information to financial creditor. Whatever special resolution has been passed, a copy will be forwarded. Then declaration of directors, which includes the name of the IP acting as IRP or PRP, and the base resolution plan and such other information and documents. CD shall obtain approval from its financial creditors, not being its related parties, representing not less than 66%. So approval of financial creditors which do not include its related parties. So we have to exclude the related parties and we have to obtain approval of not less than 66% of financial creditors in value of the financial debt due to such creditors for the filing of an application for initiating PPIRP in form P4. And where CD does not have FC or FCs are related parties, approval of OCs shall be obtained as per this section. And as I already told you, 10 largest operational creditors will form part of the COC. Now let us see the appointment of resolution professional and his duties before initiation of PPIRP. Before going further, I would like to tell you one thing, that all these regulations, they presuppose sufficient knowledge of CIRP and process of insolvency and resolution process of individuals and partnership. They presuppose that the person who is reading all this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process, the person already has knowledge, that base knowledge. Appointment of resolution professional and his duties before initiation of PPIRP. So RP shall have following duties from the date of his appointment done under section 54A, subsection 2, subsection E. He will prepare a report in form P8, confirming whether the corporate debtor meets the requirements of section 54E and the base resolution plan. So, first of all, the corporate debtor has to meet the requirements of section 54A. Then base resolution plan, it also has to conform to the requirements referred to in clause 3 of subsection 4 of section 54. That is base resolution plan, which conforms to the requirements referred to section 54. And will file such reports and other documents with the board as may be specified. Board here means IBBI, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. And it will perform such other duties as may be specified. So these are the duties of the RP. And above responsibilities of IP, they will cease on application for initiating PPIRP is admitted or rejected by adjudicating authority as the case may be. So once the application is admitted, these responsibilities of IP will cease. Or CD failed to initiate application to adjudicating authority, that is NCLT, within 90 days from the date of resolution of directors. As we have already seen that within a period of 90 days from the date of resolution, from the date of passing of the resolution by the directors, an application has to be initiated before the adjudicating authority. So 90 days period is there. So in case that 90 days period elapses, or application is admitted or rejected as the case may be, and fees payable, so one process ends here and second process will start. This fees payable to RP for duties under 54B1 as about to be borne by CD in case CD could not initiate PPIRM or application is initiated by somebody else, it should form part of PPIRM process cost. As we know, basically the cost of this CIRP also for initiating application has to be borne by the applicant. So applicant here in any case is corporate debtor. So corporate debtor is bearing the cost of the initiating the application, and CD will maintain separate bank account for this fees and expenses to be incurred by IP from time to time, which will be operated by IP. Now, suppose these conditions are fulfilled. So if conditions under section 54A are fulfilled, CD can initiate application under pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. So application can be filed in form 1, accompanied with affidavit, documents or records as referred in annexure therein in electronic form along with the fees of rupees 15,000. So fees of 15,000, form 1, then accompanied with affidavit, documents, records. There are 3 parts in form 1. Part 1 is about details of applicant. Applicant here will be corporate debtor and the corporate debtor. Second part is of IP, insolvency provisional, and third part is for details of creditors or debt. And where electronic facility is not available or data is of bulk size, so application can be submitted in USB also. The corporate applicant under sub rule 1, it shall serve a copy of the applicant to the board by registered post or speed post or by hand delivery or by electronic means before filing it with the adjudicating authority. And the application shall be filed before the adjudicating authority in accordance with these rules. And a corporate applicant shall inform the adjudicating authority about the filing of any winding up petition against the corporate debtor after becoming aware about such filing. So a corporate applicant shall inform the adjudicating authority in case any winding up petition has been already filed against the corporate debtor, whenever he comes aware about any such filing. So this application, along with the documents, he will furnish copy of special resolution, approval of 66% financial creditors, consent of IP in form P1, and a declaration regarding existence of any transaction which are of avoidable nature, preferential, undervalued, extortionate, etc. Adjudicating authority has 14 days time to accept the application if it is complete or reject the application. And in case it wants to reject the application, 7 days time will be given to applicant for corrections, for rectifications, if any, in the application. And this commencement date of pre-packaged insolvency resolution process is the date of order passed by the adjudicating authority accepting the application. And section 54D says that this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process is to be completed within 120 days from PPIRM CD. So within this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process commencement date, it has to be completed within 120 days. So 90 days is the period available with corporate debtor for filing, and 120 days total. What is the effect if an application is admitted? So what is the effect of admission or acceptance of application by adjudicating authority under section 54C? The adjudicating authority shall, on the pre-packaged insolvency commencement date, along with the order of admission, declare moratorium. Moratorium, as we know, it bars existing suits, it bars new suits. So old suits cannot be processed and new suits cannot be filed against the corporate debtor. It shall apply mutatis mutandis. It means suits against corporate debtor can continue. It also means that if anything is favorable to the company, that it can also continue. Suppose there is a decree in favor of the company, it can continue. Appoint RP as named in the application by CD or based on recommendation by board if this is pending against proposed RP. Corporate debtor has proposed a resolution professional, but if some disciplinary proceedings are pending against that proposed RP, then board will recommend another RP and that RP will be appointed. So RP so appointed, he will cause public announcement within 2 days from the commencement date in Form 9. In the manner it will send to every creditor listed in Form P2, sent to information utilities. There is only one information utility as of date, as we know, National E-Governance Services Limited, NESL, and will be published on the website if any of the corporate debtor and the board. Board here means IBP. So it will be published on the website of the board and on the website of the corporate debtor also if it exists. Section 54G. So the corporate debtor within 2 days of commencement date, it will submit list of claims as updated on the date of submission, because this initial working, this base resolution plan, it also started based on certain figures. So those figures will be updated to RP in Form P10 and preliminary information memorandum. Information memorandum, as we all know, is a document which is akin to a prospectus inviting resolution applicants. Here, since the current management continues, there is no suspension of board of directors as in case of CIRP. Here, the current management continues. So, this corporate debtor, within 2 days of commencement date, it will submit list of claims as updated as on the date of submission to RP in Form P10 and preliminary information memorandum containing information relevant for formulating a resolution plan. And if submitted list of claims or preliminary information memorandum, PIM is misleading, every director or person providing such misleading information shall be liable to every person who sustained loss due to such misleading information. So if there is a list of claims which is submitted by the corporate debtor, but it contains some faulty information or misleading information, which is likely to cause loss to some person, then it shall be liable to pay compensation to all such persons. If information is submitted without the knowledge of person, he will not be liable for action. So immunity is granted to persons who are oblivious to any such insider knowledge, and person who sustained loss may move to the competent court for seeking compensation of loss sustained, and submit base resolution plan by CD to RP within 2 days of commencement date and RP to present this plan to COC. So CD is doing all these things. It is updating list of claims. It is preparing preliminary information memorandum. It is submitting base resolution plan. Naturally, help of professionals is required, but that professional need not be a resolution professional. That can be an insolvency professional whose help management may take for preparing this base resolution plan. So submit base resolution plan by CD to RP within 2 days of commencement date and RP to present this plan to COC, and RP will put this plan to COC. Then section 54D says maximum time to complete PPIRP is 120 days from commencement. And RP shall submit resolution plan to adjudicating authority as approved by COC within 90 days from commencement date. And where COC did not approve resolution plan within period of 90 days, RP on the expiry of 90 days shall file an application with the adjudicating authority to terminate this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. So where COC does not approve this resolution plan within the period of 90 days. So 90 days period is available to all the parties to put the application to this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process complete in all respects before the adjudicating authority. Now let us see in detail what are the duties and powers of resolution professional. So 54F provides an answer to this. The duties and powers of resolution professional are: it will confirm the list of claims submitted by CD. Corporate debtor will provide the list of claims, and based on the records of the corporate debtor and other relevant material available on record, this RP will confirm the list of claims, and RP shall confirm the details received in Form P10. RP shall inform every creditor regarding its claims as confirmed by him and seek objections if any, particularly if he tries to reduce the claim amount. A creditor may submit objection along with supporting documents to the RP within 7 days from the receipt of communication under sub-regulation, and RP may call for such other evidence or clarification as he deems fit from a creditor for substantiating the whole or part of its claim. So CD has given certain set of claims. RP reviews it based on the relevant material, based on the details available, and he asks for certain clarifications also from the creditor. And it will inform every creditor regarding its claim as confirmed by him, and it will seek objections if any. Creditor will revert within 7 days. And RP shall consider every objection received and modify the claim of the creditor if required. The resolution professional shall maintain a list of claims in Form P10 and update it as and when required. There is a certain format, so it has to be maintained in Form P10 and it needs to be updated as and when required, because creditors will keep on coming. And Form 10 shall be available for inspection by the creditors, members, partners, directors, and guarantors of the corporate debtor, displayed on the website if any of the corporate debtor, filed with the board IBBI on electronic platform, and presented at the meeting of the committee as and when updated. So this Form 10, it is a public document which shall be available for inspection by creditors, member, partners, etc. It will be displayed on website of board also. It will be placed on website of company also as and when it is updated. And where amount of claim is not precise, in some cases the claims are not yet matured. So in case the amount cannot be ascertained precisely, RP will make best estimate. Debt in foreign currency, they have to be valued on considering exchange rate on the date of this commencement date. And if any debit is transferred, if any debt is, it should be debt. If any debt is transferred or assigned, both the creditors and party to whom debt is assigned will conform to RP. And as we know, simply the assignment of debt does not change its character. If there is an operational debt and it is assigned to a financial creditor, so it does not change its character to financial debt, it still remains an operational debt. RP will monitor the management of affairs of the corporate debtor, and if there is any breach, then it will inform the COC. It will constitute COC. It will convene and attend meetings of COC. It will appoint 2 registered valuers within 3 days of its appointment. It will prepare the information memorandum within 14 days. Preliminary information memorandum is to be prepared by the corporate debtor. This information memorandum is to be prepared by the resolution professional within 14 days from the commencement date on the basis of preliminary information memorandum and other relevant information. And it will file any application with adjudicating authority for avoidance any fraudulent or wrongful trading of transactions by 60th day. What are the powers? These were the duties. Now let us see the powers of resolution professional. Access to books and records kept by CD and maintained at information utility or government authorities or any other person. So he can access the books and records. He can attend meetings of board of directors or partners, because board of directors still remain in management. They are not displaced. He can appoint accounts or legal or other professionals, and he has to appoint 2 registered valuers within 3 days of commencement date. He will collect all information relating to the assets, finances, and operations and payments for previous 2 years of the corporate debtor for determining the financial position of the corporate debtor and the existence of any transactions that may be within the scope of provisions relating to avoidance of transactions under Chapter 3 or 6. And he will prepare a list of assets and liabilities as on initiation. Financial institutions of CD, employees of CD, and board of directors of CD, they will provide all information and support to RP. And the fees of RP and any expenses incurred by him for conducting the same shall be determined in such manner as may be specified, provided that COC may impose limits and conditions on such fees and expenses. Provided further that the fees and expenses for the period prior to the constitution of COC shall be subject to ratification by it. Because initially this RP is proposed by minimum 10% and ratified by 66%. So till the time his appointment is ratified, till the period prior to the constitution of COC, such expenses shall be subject to ratification, and the fees and expenses referred to in subsection 6, they shall be borne in such manner as specified. Section 54H says that during pre-packaged insolvency resolution process, control of CD, it shall remain with the board of directors or partners. As we know, in case of CIRP, board stands suspended and all the powers of the board or partners, they stand vested in resolution professional. But here the board still remains in power, and they shall endeavor to protect and preserve value of CD and manage operations as a going concern. So this is not the case for CIRP. Control vests with IRP or RP in case of CIRP. Then section 54J says COC at any time with 66% voting can resolve to vest the management with RP. If COC feels that board or the partners are not acting properly, then they may displace the management with RP. And on such a resolution, RP to submit application to adjudicating authority. And if adjudicating authority is of the opinion that management should be given to RP, it will order as such. So management may be replaced with 66% vote. Then section 54I says regarding the committee of creditors. So based on the list of claims submitted to RP by CD in foregoing sections, RP will form COC within 7 days from commencement. COC so formed will get altered on the basis of updated claim list. Decisions taken based on existing COC will not affect due to such alteration. Because suppose a new creditor has come after a certain period, then if certain decisions have been taken prior to his entry, then those decisions will not be affected. And such list is maintained in form P10 and it will be updated from time to time. And it will be displayed at various places as we have already seen. First COC is to be held within 7 days of COC formation. In case of CIRP, as we know, it is to be held within 30. Within 30 days, a COC has to be formed and first meeting within 7 days. So first COC to be held within 7 days of COC formation. Provisions of section 21 will apply, except subsection 1. And where the corporate debtors only creditors in a class. Suppose there are only debenture holders, there are only creditors of a particular class like home buyers, and there is no other financial creditors who are not related parties. There are some financial creditors, but they are related parties, so they are not included. And apart from those related parties of financial creditors, there are only creditors in a class. Then the committee shall consist of only the authorized representative of the class of creditors. And regarding class of creditors also, we know that based on the certain number of authorized representatives are there. Where CD has only OC, COC will be of 10 largest operational creditors. As in case of CIRP, we know COC consists of 18 largest operational creditors, but here COC consists of 10 largest operational creditors. And besides that, one representative of workmen will be there and one representative of employees will be there. Just a minute. And voting rights of such COC will be in the ratio of total debt of CD. So total debt due to OC plus workmen plus employees. And any change in composition of COC shall be informed to all creditors within 2 days of change. And RP can call meeting of COC as and when required. Creditors representing 33% of voting right, they can inform RP if they want to convene a meeting. So they can also call a meeting after informing the RP. And notice of meeting has to be given to all the creditors before 5 days of meeting. This time can be reduced to 24 hours, 48 hours where there are representatives in COC. So in case there are authorized representatives, then this time is minimum 48 hours. Otherwise, this time can be reduced to 24 hours. Normal time is 5 days. Notice may be sent by email, text or attachment. Subject line of mail will be name of CD, place, date and time of meeting. Sometimes we read simply the subject line because so many mails keep coming. So it has been specified that subject line of mail will be name of CD, place, date and time of meeting. Quorum is 33% of voting physically or visual media. COC may modify this quorum for future. Adjournment, if any adjournment is required, the same time place on next day. And it shall consist of members who attend it. So quorum shall consist of members attending. And RP will be the chairperson and RP will ensure that required quorum is present throughout the meeting. So throughout the meeting means it's not that people are coming in and going out like here in webinar. So they have to be present throughout the meeting. Committee of creditors. Committee with creditors in a class. So RP shall provide the list of creditors in each class to the respective authorized representative within 3 days of the commencement of the process, or update list as and when updated. And this clarification, the authorized representative shall have no role in receipt or confirmation of claims of creditors of the class he represents. RP will provide electronic means of communication between the authorized representative and the creditors in that class. So RP here has been made responsible for providing electronic means of communication between the authorized representative and the creditor. Suppose there are 1000 debenture holders and one debenture trustee is there who is their authorized representative. Then the RP will provide the means of communication between the authorized representative and the creditors in that class. And voting share of a creditor in a class shall be in proportion to the financial debt, which includes an interest at the rate of 8% per annum, unless a different rate has been agreed to between the parties. It is the same in case of CIR. The authorized representative shall circulate the agenda to creditors in a class and may seek their preliminary views on any item in the agenda to enable him to effectively participate in the meetings of the committee, provided that creditors shall have a time window of at least 12 hours to submit their preliminary views, and the said window opens at least 24 hours authorized after the authorized representative seeks preliminary views. So 12 hours for preliminary views, then 24 hours for the window to be kept open, provided further that such preliminary views shall not be considered as voting instructions by the creditors. RP to circulate minutes of the meeting by electronic means to all members of COC and authorized representative within 24 hours of the conclusion of the meeting, and seek a vote of the members who did not vote at the meeting on the matters listed for voting. Suppose a matter has been listed for voting, members did not vote, then they can vote by electronic voting system in accordance with Regulation 37, where the voting shall be kept open for at least 24 hours from the circulation of the minutes. The authorized representative shall circulate the minutes of the meetings received to creditors in a class and announce the voting window at least 24 hours before the window opens for voting instructions, and keep the window open for at least 12 hours. So before the window opens, it will announce 24 hours before the opening of the window, and then 12 hours, for 12 hours the window will be kept open. 54K talks of review and consideration of base resolution plan by COC. This base resolution plan was prepared by the corporate debtor in consultation with its professionals. Even insolvency professional RP was not there at the time of preparation of the base resolution plan. CD shall submit base resolution plan to RP within 2 days of commencement date, and RP to present this to COC. COC may give an opportunity to CD to revise base resolution before its approval or calling of resolution applicant from prospective resolution applicants. Section 30 shall be applicable submission of resolution. So COC may provide an opportunity to the corporate debtor to revise the base resolution plan. भाई ये जो प्लान बनाया है आपने, ये तो ठीक नहीं लग रहा है, इसको रिवाइज करो आप. ठीक. COC will approve the base resolution plan for submission to the adjudicating authority if it does not impair any claims owed by the corporate debtor to the operational creditor. ऑपरेशनल क्रेडिटर्स का जितना क्लेम है उसमें से कम नहीं करना है, उसमें कोई हेयर कट नहीं होना है. ठीक. उस केस में क्या करेगा? COC will approve the base resolution. तो भाई ठीक है, एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी को भेजो, देखते हैं क्या होता है. लेकिन if COC does not approve the base resolution plan due to the fact that it impairs claims of OC, क्योंकि OC जो है उनका वोटिंग राइट नहीं है. देखिए, if COC does not approve the base resolution plan due to the fact that it impairs claims of OCs or due to any other reason, RP will invite the resolution plan from prospective resolution applicants to compete with base resolution. भाई हम एक नई कोटेशन ले आते हैं, आपने ये प्लान बनाया है, ये तो कंपनी ने बनाया है बेस रेजोल्यूशन प्लान, तो आरपी क्या करेगा, आरपी रेजोल्यूशन प्लान इनवाइट कर लेगा फ्रॉम प्रोस्पेक्टिव रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट, बाहर वालों से, ठीक है। सो कॉल विद इन 21 days फ्रॉम कमेंसमेंट डेट इन P11। जब P11 में ये नया रेजोल्यूशन प्लान इनवाइट करेगा, कंपीटिंग रेजोल्यूशन प्लान। आरपी विल प्रोवाइड इवैल्यूएशन मैट्रिक्स and other information to prospective applicants as approved by COC. Evaluation matrix, as we know, it contains certain qualitative and certain quantitative parameters based on experience of the resolution applicant, based on the initial funding which he is proposing, and based on the similar assignments he has held, based on his net worth and all. There are different types of criteria. Like we prepare a comparative chart in case of quotations. So similar is the concept of evaluation matrix. So RP will provide evaluation matrix and other information to prospective applicants as approved by COC. On receipt of resolution plan, RP will confirm whether such plan conforms to the requirements of section 30 subsection 2. And the resolution professional shall present to the COC for its evaluation a resolution plans which conform to the requirements referred to in subsection 2 of section 30. Suppose 4 plans come, one base resolution plan is there, then another 2 competing resolution plans have come. Then after preparing evaluation matrix, the resolution professional will present all the plans to the COC, provided they conform to the requirements referred to in 30 subsection 2. And COC will select one amongst the presented. And the selected resolution plan, it shall compete with the base resolution plan, and finalized resolution plan shall be approved by COC with 66% with such terms and conditions of COC. RP to apply with adjudicating authority with COC approved resolution. So COC will compare the two. Base resolution plan is there, another plan has come. So COC will approve with 66% majority. And if COC does not approve base resolution plan or any other resolution plan, जो base resolution plan management ने बनाया वो भी पसंद नहीं आया, जो बाहर से आया वो भी पसंद नहीं आया, तो RP will file an application with adjudicating authority to terminate the pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. And when base resolution plan is approved by COC with impairing operational creditor, मान लो उनको कुछ operational creditors में भी कुछ impairment हो रही है, ठीक है, 100 करोड़ के थे, उनको 80 करोड़ दे रहे हैं, हेयर कट है वहां पर भी, ठीक है, तो COC may require promoters to dilute shareholding etc. and if rejected, reasons for such rejection to be recorded by COC. ठीक, वो प्रोमोटर्स को भी कहेगा भाई अपनी शेयर होल्डिंग भी आप डाइल्यूट करो, आप क्रेडिटर्स को कम दे रहे हो, जब क्रेडिटर्स को आप कम दे रहे हो तो अपना भी कम करो शेयर होल्डिंग. एक्सप्लेनेशन है CD में सबमिट बेस रेजोल्यूशन प्लान इंडिविजुअली और विद एनी अदर एप्लीकेंट. ठीक है, तो CD क्या होगा, CD कौन है यहाँ पर, कंपनी है या LLP है, ठीक है, तो इंडिविजुअल भी कर सकती है, कोई और स्पेशल पर्पस व्हीकल बना के किसी कंपनी के साथ भी रेजोल्यूशन प्लान ला सकती है. And impairment of claims of BOSI means reduction of their confirmed claims. Then section 54L and 54M. It talks of approval / rejection of resolution plan by adjudicating authority. If resolution plan conforms to the conditions under section 30 subsection 2, and if resolution plan has provision for its effective implementation, adjudicating authority shall approve the resolution plan within 30 days by its order. So the adjudicating authority will see whether the resolution plan which has been put forth before it by the COC conforms to the conditions specified under section 30 subsection 2, and if the resolution plan has provisions for its effective implementation, then it will approve the resolution within 30 days by order. An approved resolution plan shall be binding on all the stakeholders. All the stakeholders here means even the government, central or state government. Suppose some GST dues are there, so those will also stand abated. Moratorium will cease, and RP shall forward all records of pre-packaged insolvency resolution process to the board to record in the database of IPPA and information utility. And where resolution plan does not satisfy conditions as above, adjudicating authority will reject the resolution plan within 30 days and shall pass order under section 54 and terminating the PPIR. And on passing of order under section 54N, adjudicating authority shall pass order under section 34 for liquidation of corporate debtor. And this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process cost, it shall become part of the liquidation cost. Then section 54M provides for appeal against rejection of pre-packaged insolvency resolution process order. So it may be made under section 61 subsection 3. Appeal naturally will lie to the NCLT. COC may terminate the PPIRP at any time with 66% voting. And cost of PPIRP shall be borne by the CD. So if at any time COC feels that it's not feasible, this PPIRP is not progressing well, so it may terminate it at any time with 66%. And COC may with 66% vote can terminate PPIRP and initiate CIRP under chapter 2 if CD is eligible for this. So it can be converted into CIRP also. And on such decision of COC, RP will file application with adjudicating authority, and adjudicating authority within 30 days shall pass an order terminating PPIRP and passing process under CIRP. Such order shall be considered an order under section 7. As we know, under section 7 of IBC, an application can be moved by a financial creditor. So such an order terminating PPIRP and initiation of CIRP under chapter 2 will be deemed to be an order under section 7, and it shall pass an order appointing RP subject to written consent of RP and fulfillment of other conditions, and it shall declare the PPIRP cost shall be part of the CIRP. And CIRP commencement date shall be considered as date of such order. So this was in brief something about the pre-packaged insolvency resolution process. This PPT has not been prepared by me. It has been prepared by one of my colleagues. Thank you, CA Devinder Devraj, who is from Nasik. So any questions on this are welcome. Bhardwaj ji?
जी गुप्ता जी।
हाँ जी, ऐसा है, कोई बहुत बड़ा टॉपिक तो था नहीं। हाँ। तो हमने तो इसमें डिस्कस कर लिया जो करना था। अब किसी को कुछ पूछना हो तो पूछ सकते हैं।
Members, if you have any query, you are welcome, sir.
आपने कहा कि कुछ ऐसे क्लेम्स हो सकते हैं जो इस समय मैच्योर नहीं है, लेकिन हो सकता है कि 1 साल या 1.5 साल बाद होने वाले हों, तो क्या उन क्लेम्स को इम्यूनिटी है या वो अभी मतलब अभी
नहीं? ऐसा है जी, उस केस में क्या होगा, उस केस में जो रेजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल है ना, ही मेक्स बेस्ट एस्टिमेट। वो उनका क्या करते हैं, बेस्ट एस्टिमेट बनाते हैं। देखिए ऐसा है, मान लीजिए कोई इंस्टॉलमेंट फ्यूचर में पेबल है या बहुत सारे कॉन्टिजेंट क्लेम्स होते हैं,
थोड़ा बहुत तो करेंगे,
तो उस केस में क्या होगा, ये बेस्ट एस्टिमेट बनाते हैं। एस्टिमेट उसको क्रिस्टलाइज तो करना ही पड़ेगा। जो क्रिस्टलाइज नहीं भी हुए अभी क्लेम्स, जिसमें देखिए एक अगर मान लीजिए आपके पास एक बिल है, बिल तो आपके पास सर्टेन है, लेकिन मान लो कोई प्रोजेक्ट, कंस्ट्रक्शन प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है, अब उसमें कोई बिलिंग नहीं हुई या कोई सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं हुआ, बट यू प्रिज्यूम के भाई कुछ
नहीं, सपोज कोई गवर्नमेंट डिमांड है 1 साल बाद आनी है, 1 साल बाद आती है, जो कि आज पता भी नहीं है।
हाँ
हेलो,
देखिए ऐसा है, इसमें 2-3 बातें हैं। पहली
जी,
बात तो ये है कि आरपी हैज टू इन्फॉर्म ऑल द क्रेडिटर्स ऑफ द क्लेम। सबसे पहले तो बुक्स के हिसाब से जाएगा, ठीक है ना। 2 साल
अगर
की
आज
कुछ
बुक्स में
पुरानी
नहीं
बात
है तो वो क्लेम नहीं माना जाएगा ना।
नहीं, बुक्स नहीं, क्लेम नहीं है तो ही कैन गेट इन टच विद गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटीज कि भैया आप आओ। पब्लिक अनाउंसमेंट तो हो ही रही है ना, पब्लिक अनाउंसमेंट
ओके,
में भी गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटीज आ सकती हैं और
हाँ हाँ,
अपना भी वो एस्टिमेट बना सकता है बेस्ड ऑन। देखिए उसके पास कुछ ना कुछ रिकॉर्ड तो है ना, कुछ तो इसके
जी,
पास इंफॉर्मेशन है। मान लीजिए उसने प्रोजेक्ट साइट पर विजिट किया, भैया ये तो गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट एग्जीक्यूट, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ भूटान के साथ हमारा प्रोजेक्ट था, अब ये प्रोजेक्ट जो है अबंडेंस में है, ठीक है ना, अभी इसमें है।
हम्म,
तो उस हिसाब से वो बेस्ट एस्टिमेट करेगा जो भी।
ओके। और एक आपने बीच में कहा था कि किसको इम्यूनिटी प्रोवाइड की जा रही है, वो व्हाट वाज दैट, वो मिस हो गया था।
अ, नहीं, इम्यूनिटी की जहां तक बात है, देखिए ऐसा है कि अ, एक तो ये है कि जो भी डायरेक्टर्स जो हैं, डायरेक्टर्स ने एक
जी,
प्रीलिमिनरी इंफॉर्मेशन मेमोरेंडम बनाया है, ठीक है। अब उसमें यह एक लिस्ट ऑफ क्लेम्स बनाई है डायरेक्टर्स ने, जो
जी,
कॉर्पोरेट डेटर उसने बनाई है।
जी,
कॉर्पोरेट डेटर ही इसमें लिस्ट ऑफ क्लेम्स बना रहा है, कॉर्पोरेट डेटर ही प्रीलिमिनरी इंफॉर्मेशन मेमोरेंडम बना रहा है। अगर उसमें कोई ऐसा आदमी है जिसकी नॉलेज में ये नहीं था, मान लीजिए 4 डायरेक्टर हैं, एक इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर था उसमें, अब उस इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर की नॉलेज में ये बात नहीं थी कि भाई इन्होंने क्लेम्स प्रॉपर्ली सबमिट किए या जो प्रीलिमिनरी इंफॉर्मेशन मेमोरेंडम बनाया, मान लीजिए बाद में उसमें
हम्म,
कुछ गलती निकल गई, ठीक है ना।
हम्म,
तो उस केस में उसको इम्यूनिटी है कि भाई अगर वो ही वाज नॉट ए पार्टी, ही वाज नॉट नोइंग ऑल दिस थिंग, तो उसको ही कैन बी ग्रांटेड इम्यूनिटी। का क्या होता है कि एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी के पास उनको भी घसीट लेते हैं, ये जो इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर्स को भी, तो वो बता देगा भाई आई वाज नॉट ए पार्टी टू दिस, आई वाज नॉट नोइंग अबाउट दिस थिंग्स।
If any department doesn't have any claim today and they do not respond to public announcement and they suddenly
ओके,
wake up after 1 year once everything has been resolved and liquidated, then
नहीं देखिए देर आर केसेस इन दिस, जैसे अभी तो इसमें ये तो अभी आया ही है, लेकिन जो सीआईआरपी है, सीआईआरपी में बहुत सारे केसेस हैं कि एक बार एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी ने ऑर्डर पास कर दिया तो उसके
जी,
बाद में तो कोई भी क्लेम एंटरटेन नहीं होगा। हालांकि देखिए जो अल्टीमेट अथॉरिटी वो तो एपेक्स कोर्ट है ही, दे कैन ऑलवेज अप्रोच सुप्रीम कोर्ट बाय वे ऑफ रिट पिटीशन, वो एंटरटेन कर लेगा अगर कुछ में कुछ लगेगा तो एनीथिंग कैन बी ओपन अप, बट नॉर्मली तो थिंग्स रेस्ट एज सुन एज द ऑर्डर इज पास्ड बाय द एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी।
Gupta ji, I would
okay,
like to update something in on this matter.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
जैसे ही रेजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल जैसे ही चार्ज लेता है कंपनी का,
हम्म,
in addition to the claim which have been filed with the resolution professional,
हम्म,
जितने भी गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट हैं, सेल टैक्स है, इनकम टैक्स है, पीएफ है, ईएसआई है,
हाँ जी,
जहां जहां भी हमारे रजिस्ट्रेशन है,
हाँ हाँ,
रेजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल सभी को मेल लिखता है कि भाई ये कंपनी जो है रेजोल्यूशन में इसमें आ गई है इंसॉल्वेंसी में, अगर आपका
हम्म,
कोई भी क्लेम बनता है तो काइंडली फाइल योर क्लेम विद
हाँ।
द रेजोल्यूशन
नहीं
प्रोफेशनल।
भागवत जी वो बात ठीक है, वो तो है ही। इनका सवाल
हाँ,
कुछ अलग है, इनका सवाल ये है कि सब कुछ हो गया, ऑर्डर भी पास हो गया, उसके बाद में 1 साल बाद जाके तब क्या होगा, ये
अगर ऑर्डर
एडजुडिकेटिंग
पास हो
अथॉरिटी।
गया
हाँ
तो इट इज ए बाइंडिंग ऑन ऑल द डिपार्टमेंट्स। अगर रेजोल्यूशन
हाँ,
प्लान में ये लिखा है कि भाई इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट को 2 लाख रुपए दूंगा, तो वो 1 रुपया भी ऊपर डिमांड पाने के अधिकारी नहीं है। अगर उसने ये लिखा है कि इनकम टैक्स को
हाँ
1 रुपया भी नहीं दूंगा और वो रेजोल्यूशन प्लान सीओसी ने अप्रूव कर दिया, एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी ने पास कर दिया, तो इनकम टैक्स को 1 रुपया भी नहीं मिलेगा।
हाँ हाँ। इसमें केस लॉज भी हैं, बहुत सारे केस लॉज हैं जिसमें
जी,
गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट ने क्लेम किया कि जी हमें तो कम मिला है, हमें तो और मिलना चाहिए, तो वो कोई बात, वो जो एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी ने जो फाइनल कर दे। बाकी अल्टीमेटली तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट है ही, अगर ऐसा कुछ होता है तो
अच्छा, they can always go to the court.
डेफिनेटली वो तो है ही, दे विल गो
सबके लिए
विद
ओपन है।
certain documents and they will go with information why they did not approach earlier in spite of public announcement and all those things.
इन डायरेक्टर्स की पर्सनल लायबिलिटी कुछ है?
देखिए पर्सनल लायबिलिटी हमेशा होती है। सबसे पहले तो देखिए ऐसे है कि डायरेक्टर्स हैव टू गिव ए डिक्लेरेशन कि दिस प्रोसेस इज नॉट बीइंग इम्प्लीमेंटेड टू डिफ्रॉड एनी पर्सन, ठीक है ना। तो
जी, जी,
अगर फ्रॉड के पर्पज से कर रहे हैं तो हमेशा वो लायबिलिटी रहती ही रहती है, वो तो है ही।
जी, जी,
डायरेक्टर्स की लायबिलिटी
ओके,
तो रहेगी रहेगी। जहां तक कई बार क्या होता है कि उसके आगे भी हम एक स्टेप चलते हैं, नया रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट आ गया, तो अगर नया रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट उन डायरेक्टर से रिलेटेड नहीं है, तो अगर फिर उस नई वाली कंपनी की प्रॉपर्टी तो देखिए सेम ही है, तो कंपनी की प्रॉपर्टी को टच नहीं कर सकते अगर पुराने डायरेक्टर्स में से कोई भी नए डायरेक्टर में नहीं है। पुराने डायरेक्टर के खिलाफ आपने जो एक्शन लेना लीजिए, तो उसमें इम्यूनिटी ग्रांटेड है टू द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ द कंपनी, क्योंकि अगर
पुराने डायरेक्टर्स की पर्सनल प्रॉपर्टीज
वो तो अटैच होगी वो तो हमेशा दैट इज ऑलवेज सब्जेक्ट टू रिस्क।
राइट।
और उसमें भी अगर पुराना वाला भी नए में भी एंटर कर गया तो भी हो जाएगी। फिर क्या होता है, जैसे इसमें सीडी है, सीडी नए के साथ भी मिलके बेस रेजोल्यूशन प्लान ला रहा है ना, तो सीडी अगर नए में भी घुसा हुआ है तो फिर वो इन्फेक्शन वहां भी कैरी होगा।
जी।
गुप्ता जी, मैं बीच में 5 मिनट मिस कर गया था, तो आई वांट टू नो कि भाई वो ट्रांजैक्शन ऑडिट और जो एक्सट्रॉशनेट ट्रांजैक्शन जो रेगुलर सीआईआरपी में होते हैं वो भी एप्लीकेबल है इसमें?
वो तो है ही, वो तो देखिए ऐसे वो तो शुरू में ही से एप्लीकेबल है, वो तो सारी चीजें एप्लीकेबल है, बिल्कुल है। वो तो है ही, वो तो पहले से ही बतानी है, उसको शुरू में ही बता देनी है, एप्लीकेशन के टाइम पे ही बता देनी है।
नहीं, मान लो वो नहीं डिस्क्लोज करता है तो रेजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल ट्रांजैक्शन ऑडिट वगैरह कंडक्ट कर सकता है?
बिल्कुल कर सकता है, क्यों नहीं करेगा, वो तो करेगा ही करेगा।
हाँ।
रेजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल को कहीं भी मान लो कोई पुराने किसी फोरेंसिक ऑडिटर की रिपोर्ट नजर आती है, वो कहीं एक फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर है, मान लीजिए बैंकर ही है, अब बैंकर एक मान लीजिए फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर है, मोटा अमाउंट उसका है, अब वो क्या करेगा, बैंकर की रिपोर्ट बैलेंस शीट भी स्टडी करेगा। जब बैंकर की बैलेंस शीट मान लो उसने स्टडी की, उसमें उसको कुछ नजर आया कि फोरेंसिक ऑडिटर का कोई रिमार्क है उस पर्टिकुलर क्लाइंट के बारे में या कोई पर्टिकुलर फ्रॉड के बारे में जो उस क्लाइंट से रिलेटेड प्रोजेक्ट का था, तो नेचुरली वहां से भी वो ले सकता है, वो तो कहीं से भी लीड लेके कर सकता है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। और 2 साल तो इसमें भी पीरियड दिया है, जैसे सीआईआरपी में 2 साल का पीरियड है, 2 साल पीछे की आपको बुक्स देखनी है, यहाँ पर भी 2 साल पीछे की बुक्स देखनी है आपको।
वही मतलब सेम प्रोसेस है, वो एक्स्ट्रा
ट्रांजैक्शन,
एनी ट्रांजैक्शन टू डिफ्रॉड द क्रेडिटर्स।
चीजें इसमें 2-3 ही चीजें डिफरेंट है भाई। एक चीज तो ये डिफरेंट है कि मैनेजमेंट पुराना ही रहेगा, ऐसा नहीं कि आरपी आते ही पुराने की सीट खत्म, वो नहीं है। एक इम्पोर्टेंट चीज तो इसमें ये है,
द मैनेजमेंट ओल्ड मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द कंपनी विल कंटिन्यू।
हाँ, दूसरी बात ये 66% पे कर सकते हैं, 66% पे सीओसी कभी भी आरपी को ये पावर दे सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर
मैनेजमेंट चेंज कर दीजिए,
हाँ कि मैनेजमेंट विल वेस्ट इन आरपी, लेकिन नॉर्मली जो है वो मैनेजमेंट उसी पुरानी पार्टी का ही रहेगा। एक तो ये चेंज है, मेजर चेंज इसमें। और दूसरी बात ये कि ऑपरेशनल क्रेडिटर्स को इन्होंने कहा भाई आप उनको इंपेयर नहीं करोगे, जितना उनका क्लेम है ना उतने का उतना ही दो।
अच्छा, उसमें हेयर कट नहीं लगेगा?
उसमें हेयर कट नहीं लगेगा, उसमें हेयर कट लगेगा तो अपनी भी शेयर होल्डिंग आप डाइल्यूट करो।
अच्छा,
जो कंपनी है वो अपनी भी शेयर होल्डिंग डाइल्यूट करे, क्योंकि क्या है कंपनी, देखो कंपनी इसमें टच नहीं कर रहे, वो कंपनी वैसे की वैसे चल रही है, तो बाद में भी मैनेजमेंट उन्हीं का ही रहना है, ये इनका तो उनको क्यों फायदा हो जाए फिर। तो हेयर कट का फायदा इनडायरेक्टली होगा किसको, हेयर कट का फायदा तो इन्हीं को ही होगा ना, कंपनी को ही हो जाएगा ना भाई। पहले हेयर कट का फायदा किसको होता था, पहले हेयर कट का फायदा होता था नए रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट को, अब नया रेजोल्यूशन एप्लीकेंट तो आ नहीं रहा इसमें, पुराने ही मैनेजमेंट चल रहा है, तो पुराने को फायदा हो जाएगा, पुराने को फायदा क्यों देंगे।
ऑपरेशनल क्रेडिटर को पूरी पेमेंट करनी पड़ेगी।
हाँ
बिल्कुल सही है। और कोई खास बात कंपैरेटिवली आपको सारा
इसमें और 2-4 चीजें हैं जो, जैसे इनिशिएशन डेट है, जैसे सीआईआरपी में भी है कि इनिशिएशन डेट वही है जो एप्लीकेशन जब आप बना देते हो उसको, तो वही इनिशिएशन डेट है आपकी। और जो फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर है उसमें से भी आपने क्या करना है, फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर में भी जो रिलेटेड पार्टी नहीं है आपकी वही लेने हैं आपको, ठीक है
सर। मैं आई वांट टू क्लैरिफाई, डेट ऑफ एप्लीकेशन और डेट ऑफ अप्रूवल इज द इनिशिएशन डेट
किसकी? नहीं, डेट ऑफ अप्रूवल तो कमेंसमेंट डेट हो गई।
अच्छा, वो कमेंसमेंट हो गई,
डेट अलग है, हाँ वो कमेंसमेंट डेट है, ये इनिशिएशन डेट हो।
अच्छा, इसमें इनिशिएशन कमेंसमेंट अलग अलग फैक्ट।
वहां पर भी वही है, वहां भी वही है, वहां पर भी सीआईआरपी में भी क्या कहते हैं हम, सीआईआरपी में कहते हैं भाई इनिशिएशन डेट का वहां क्या पर्पज है, वहां इनिशिएशन डेट का पर्पज ये है कि 2 साल पहले कब से चलना है, 2 साल पहले आपको इनिशिएशन डेट से चलना है सीआईआरपी में। और कमेंसमेंट डेट क्या है, कमेंसमेंट डेट वो अपना जो 180 + 90 डेज का पीरियड है उसके लिए वो 180 + 90 है।
बिल्कुल ठीक।
तो यहाँ पर भी वही फंडा है। और इसमें एक दो बातें और है कि जो आरपी का नाम प्रपोज कर रहे हैं ना, वो 10% मिनिमम करेंगे। वहां पर तो क्या होता था, 10% वैल्यू मिनिमम करेगी इसमें प्रपोज, और 66% उसको अप्रूव करेंगे। वहां पर तो वहां तो एक कोई भी ले जाएगा ना एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी के पास है। यहाँ पर क्या है, एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी अपना दिमाग ज्यादा नहीं लगा रही, वो कह रही है तुम बना के ले आओ सारा हलवा, हम चेक कर लेंगे सही है कि नहीं है, बस ये। वहां पर तो क्या उसके सामने ही हलवा बनाते थे ना सारा। यहाँ पर क्या है, यहाँ ये कह रहे हैं कि भाई तुम बना के ले आओ सब कुछ, हम चेक कर लेंगे बस ठीक बनाया कि नहीं बनाया। तो 10% मिनिमम जो फाइनेंशियल जिनके क्लेम है, और 10% प्रपोज कर सकते हैं। तो प्रपोज मतलब 4 भी हो सकते हैं भाई, 3 है जिसके बाद 20% का डेटा, तीनों अपना अपना आरपी लाएंगे। अब उसमें जो 66% से अप्रूव हो जाएगा हो जाएगा।
Any more queries?
और देख लेते हैं थोड़ा सा।
हाँ,
एक इसमें प्रीलिमिनरी इंफॉर्मेशन मेमोरेंडम की कॉन्सेप्ट है, 2 मेमोरेंडम बन रहे हैं। जैसे वहां तो एक ही बनता है ना, तो यहाँ पर क्या है, प्रीलिमिनरी तो बनाएगा ये मैनेजमेंट, और फाइनल बनाएगा इंफॉर्मेशन मेमोरेंडम बनाएगा ये आरपी
in consultation with COC.
सीओसी कभी भी इनको चार्ज दे सकती है, अदरवाइज मैनेजमेंट जो है नॉर्मली उसके पास ही रहेगा।
बिल्कुल ठीक।
और देख लेते हैं थोड़ा क्या है। वह तो ये भी ये उनकी है जुनेजा जी की जो है
प्रेजेंटेशन।
मुझे तो रात को ही पता चला ना कि करना है,
नहीं,
मैं कहा चलो कुछ ना कुछ तो बता ही देंगे, ऐसी क्या बात है।
नहीं, बहुत अच्छा डिस्कशन रहा सर। यू आर द मास्टर ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट। ऐसा नहीं है, कुछ ना कुछ की बात नहीं है। मेरे को पढ़ने का टाइम नहीं मिलता, हमने तो सब कुछ आपसे मतलब सुन के किया है सब कुछ।
ठीक है जी, तो थैंक यू ऑल। अगर और कुछ पूछना है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं, किसी का कोई भी सवाल हो, आईबीसी से रिलेटेड भी हो, कोई जरूरी नहीं है कि प्री पैकेट से ही पूछना है। आपने इंसॉल्वेंसी से रिलेटेड कोई भी सवाल पूछना है, आपका कोई एग्जाम है अभी रिसेंटली, तो आप पूछ सकते हैं मुझसे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। वैसे हमारी वेबसाइट है, वेबसाइट पे बहुत सारा मटेरियल हमारा पड़ा हुआ है। हम लोग क्लासेस भी होल्ड करते हैं, भारद्वाज जी ने बताया था आपको। तो यू कैन सेंड मी अ मैसेज, व्हाट्सएप मैसेज, तो वहाँ पे यू कैन बी मेंबर ऑफ दोस क्लासेस आल्सो। और हमारी वेबसाइट है carkgupta.com, वहाँ पर आईबीसी और वैल्यूएशन से रिलेटेड आपको काफी मटेरियल मिल जाएगा। तो थैंक यू भारद्वाज जी फॉर गिविंग दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
सबसे ज्यादा फायदा हो रहा है लॉकडाउन का भारद्वाज जी।
हाँ,
आपको सबसे ज्यादा फायदा हो रहा है, ना कोई मोमेंटो देना, ना कोई बुके देना, ना कोई डिनर कराना, है कि नहीं? क्यों भाई, यही आओ और यही से चलते बनो अपना।
भाई देखो, अभी तो मजबूरी है, बाकी एक बार चीजें नॉर्मलाइज हो जाएंगी तो आपकी सारी शिकायत दूर करेंगे सर, कोई ऐसी दिक्कत नहीं है। So I am very thankful to R.K. Gupta ji for presenting this subject in a very simple style, and I am also thankful to all the members for attending this webinar. कोविड पैंडेमिक बहुत बुरी तरीके से पब्लिक को चपेट में लिए हुए, तो सभी मेंबर्स से रिक्वेस्ट है कि अपना और अपनी फैमिली मेंबर्स का पूरा ख्याल रखें, और किसी को कोई भी शिकायत हो जाती है तो गर्म पानी और स्टीम, दो ही चीजों इसका इलाज है। इनिशियल स्टेज से इसको मतलब अटैक करें। आई एम फेसिंग वेरी क्रिटिकल प्रॉब्लम इन माय फैमिली एंड इन क्लोज रिलेटिव्स। आज भी 2-3 आदमी हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट है और बड़ी क्रिटिकल सिचुएशन में अभी हॉस्पिटल शिफ्ट किया जा रहा है। तो सभी से रिक्वेस्ट है कि
मैं आपको भिजवा दूंगा ये पीपीटी, अगर कोई मांगे आपसे तो आप दे देना उनको, मैं आई विल सेंड दिस पीपीटी टू यू।
हाँ जी, अगर पीपीटी किसी को भी चाहिए तो काइंडली सेंड रिक्वेस्ट टू माय मोबाइल नंबर, आई विल सेंड इट थ्रू मेल और व्हाट्सएप। So thank you all the participants and special thanks to R.K. Gupta ji. Now I would like to formally end this meeting.